Coming out of Week 2, the Philadelphia Eagles are sitting comfortably calm, duas vitórias e nenhuma derrota. But that doesn't even begin to tell the story of what just went down in Arrowhead. A win is a win, sure, but this was not some dominant, clean performance. It was messy. It was gritty. It was filled with moments that made fans jump out of their seats and others that made them want to throw the remote through the screen. And honestly, that's what makes this game so interesting to break down, because this wasn't just another chapter in the Eagles-Chiefs rivalry. It might have been the game that told us the most about who this Eagles team really is right now. Let's start with the obvious. The defense? Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. This unit came into Arrowhead and shut down Patrick Mahomes and that high-powered Chiefs offense in a way we haven't really seen before. You had guys flying around, swarming to the ball, making huge plays in key moments, and most importantly, setting the tone early. Zach Bond came out of the gates like a man possessed, wrecking the Chiefs' opening drive with a big-time hit on third down. That play, right there, told you everything you needed to know about the mindset of this Eagles defense. No fear, no hesitation, just raw, aggressive football. And it wasn't just Bond. The entire front seven stepped up. Josh Sweat picked up right where he left off from Week 1, showing again why he might be one of the most underrated edge rushers in the league. Jordan Davis looked like an absolute monster in the middle, plugging run lanes, breaking up passes at the line, and showing flashes of the dominant force the Eagles hoped he'd become when they drafted him. You could feel his presence on almost every snap. Jalen Carter? Disruptive as ever. Playing through a wrist issue, he still led the team in QB hits and created chaos in the pocket like only he can. Oh, and let's not forget about Moro Ojomo getting his first career sack or Nolan Smith's clutch stop on 4th and short. These guys were everywhere. But the name that stole the show on defense? Rookie safety Andrew Makuba. If you didn't know his name before this game, you definitely do now. 6 tackles, a pass defended, a sack, and the biggest moment of the entire afternoon. A red zone interception off a tipped Mahomes pass that completely shifted the momentum. That pick wasn't just a flashy stat. It was a statement, a message, a remember me moment from a young guy who's already proving he belongs on this stage. And listening to him talk after the game, you can tell this kid is locked in. He's reading offenses, tracking key players like Travis Kelce, and just always seems to be in the right place at the right time. That's not luck. That's preparation, instinct, and talent all wrapped into one. And then there's the newest addition to the defense, Zadarius Smith. Man, what a debut. The guy just showed up in Philly and immediately made an impact with a sack, a tackle for loss, multiple pressures, all in just 20 snaps. That's production. That's a veteran who understands how to make the most of his opportunities, and it's a huge win for the front office that they were able to land him. You look at how this defensive front is shaping up with Sweat, Carter, Davis, Ojomo, Smith, and company, and you start to realize just how deep and dangerous this group can be over the course of a season. Now, while the defense was balling out, the offense, that's where the conversation gets a little trickier. Because, yeah, the Eagles scored enough to win. But man, it wasn't pretty. And if you're an Eagles fan, you probably walked away from that game with more questions than answers about what's going on with this offense, particularly the passing game. Jalen Hurts did what he could. He played tough. He avoided turnovers. He stayed composed under pressure. But there's no denying that this passing attack feels off. It's predictable. It's stagnant. And it's not putting fear in opposing defenses the way it should be with this much talent on the field. Just look at the numbers. The Eagles ran 26 plays from under center or pistol. 25 of them were runs. They lined up in shotgun 33 times and passed it 26. That's basically giving away your play call before the ball is even snapped. If I can spot it from my couch, you better believe Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense saw it coming too. And let's talk about the route concepts. Short, sideways, repetitive. The middle of the field was a ghost town. Everything was either behind the line of scrimmage or out to the boundaries. It felt like the same 2 or 3 screen passes on a loop. And when you look at Hurts' passing chart, it's glaringly obvious. Nothing deep, nothing in the intermediate middle. Just safe, conservative throws that never really tested the defense. It was 2023 all over again. If you didn't know better, you'd think Shane Steichen was still calling plays, and not in a good way. And listen, it's not all on Hurts. The Chiefs blitzed the hell out of him. Over 60% of his dropbacks. That's the most blitz-heavy game they've played under Spags, ever. And yet, the Eagles had no real answer for it. No adjustments. No play action. No misdirection. Just more of the same. And it played right into Kansas City's hands. Even Tom Brady, who was on the broadcast, called it out. He said it looked like no one was getting open. And if Tom freaking Brady is saying that, you know there's a problem. That's why, as good as this win felt, especially with how the defense performed, it also left a bit of a sour taste in your mouth when it comes to the offensive play calling and scheme. And I appreciate that Nick Sirianni and A.J. Brown didn't try to sugarcoat it after the game. They know it wasn't good enough. They know that winning like this is not sustainable. The defense won't always be able to bail you out. The passing game has to be more explosive. It has to be more creative. You got a quarterback who can do it all, a receiver room full of playmakers, and a top 3 offensive line. There's just no excuse for the offense to look this flat. And yes, Saquon Barkley had some nice moments. That touchdown run in the first quarter was vintage Saquon. Patience, vision, burst, all of it. But even then, the run game felt too telegraphed. And again, it comes back to the formations and the tendencies. If fans and analysts can predict what you're going to do just based on alignment, then what do you think actual NFL defenses are going to do? You're just making life harder on yourself for no reason. One thing that did work, as always, was the brotherly shove. Say what you want about it. Call it unfair. Call it controversial. The Eagles are still running it better than anyone in the league, and it's still unstoppable in short yardage. They used it for a score, they used it to ice the game, and even though the Chiefs and their fans were crying about penalties and false starts, the fact is, both sides got away with stuff. Kansas City lined up illegally multiple times, and the refs even missed a clear touchdown for the Eagles earlier in the game. So, yeah, the whole unfair argument kind of falls flat. Lane Johnson summed it up perfectly on Twitter when he said, "They hate us 'cause they ain't us." And honestly, he's right. This team is going to keep running the tush-push until the league bans it, and frankly, I hope they do. Because until then, it's one of the most effective, demoralizing plays in football. At the end of the day, this win was about resilience, about grit, about finding a way to beat one of the best teams in football on their home turf, a place that's notoriously hard to win, especially early in the season. This wasn't a flashy, high-flying win. This was a rock fight, a battle, and the Eagles came out on top because their defense showed up when it mattered most, because guys like Andrew Makuba made plays when it counted, and because even when the offense struggled, they avoided mistakes and capitalized on opportunities. And speaking of putting it all together, that's where the pressure really starts to mount for the Eagles coaching staff, particularly offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo and head coach Nick Sirianni. Because after 2 weeks of football, what we've seen from the offensive scheme is far too familiar, and not in a good way. There's a difference between being efficient and being predictable, and right now, the Eagles' offense is teetering way too close to the wrong side of that line. This is a team built to dominate, to take over games, and to light up the scoreboard. Yet they found themselves in back-to-back grind-it-out, low-scoring slugfests where it felt like they were playing not to lose instead of playing to win. Look back at the explosive plays from last season. They were everywhere. Big-time throws down the field, chunk plays off play action, creative motion that confused defenses. Where did all of that go? Because right now, it feels like the Eagles have shrunk their playbook down to the most basic elements and taken all the firepower out of their own hands. The lack of creativity is one thing, but the complete absence of aggression is even more concerning. And when you combine that with the fact that the play calling has become so easy to read, you get a passing game that's completely neutered and a run game that's too easy to stuff when it matters most. Yes, they've managed to win games despite that, but that doesn't mean it's sustainable. We're talking about an offense with Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Saquon Barkley, and Dallas Goedert. These are elite talents. You don't just sit on that kind of firepower and play it safe. And to be honest, there were moments in that Chiefs game where you could see the frustration boiling over, especially from guys like A.J. Brown. He knows this offense can be better. He knows that they're leaving plays on the field. And he's not wrong to feel that way. One of the most concerning elements from the tape is how little the Eagles are attacking the middle of the field. It's like there's an invisible wall from hash to hash. Everything is either a swing, a bubble, or a quick out to the boundary. That makes it incredibly easy for defenses to collapse on the edges and bottle everything up. And when your playbook is mostly horizontal instead of vertical, you're not stretching defenses in a meaningful way. That's a recipe for stall drives, especially against smart, well-coached units like Kansas City. Now, to the coaching staff's credit, they seem to be fully aware of the problem. Sirianni admitted after the game that the offense needs to find more explosive plays and that they haven't been aggressive enough. And while it's good to hear that kind of accountability, words only go so far. At some point, they've got to open things up. They got to trust their quarterback to make plays downfield. Because what we're seeing now isn't a reflection of Jalen Hurts' talent. It's a reflection of how handcuffed he's been by the current offensive structure. Hurts hasn't been perfect. No one is claiming that. But when Tom Brady, one of the most cerebral quarterbacks the game has ever seen, goes out of his way to say no one was getting open, that's not on the quarterback. That's a red flag about your route concepts, your spacing, and your ability to scheme guys free. There's a real disconnect between the talent on the roster and the way it's being utilized. And that's the kind of thing that can derail a season if it's not corrected soon. That being said, it's still early. 2 games is a small sample size, and there's time to fix this. But time moves fast in the NFL. 1 week you're undefeated, and the next you're on a 2-game skid wondering what went wrong. The margin for error in this league is razor thin, especially in the NFC where teams like the 49ers, Cowboys, and Lions are all looking sharp out of the gate. If the Eagles want to stay ahead of that pack, they can't afford to waste more time figuring things out. The schedule isn't going to get any easier, and the tape from these first 2 games is out there for everyone to see. And let's not forget, this isn't just about style points or aesthetics. It's about what's actually going to win games when it matters most. In the playoffs, when the stakes are higher and the margin for error gets even smaller, you're going to need your offense to step up. You're going to need to score when the defense isn't perfect. You're going to need to drive late in the fourth quarter where you throw the ball 3 times and march down the field for the win. Right now, it's fair to question whether this version of the Eagles' offense is capable of doing that consistently. Still, there were bright spots. That drive following Mukuba's interception was textbook execution. Short field, momentum on their side, and they capitalized. That's what good teams do. And it wasn't the only time the offense showed flashes of what it can be. Devonta Smith's jump ball, catch down the sideline, that was elite. Pure ball skills and concentration. The Barkley touchdown run on the 3rd drive, beautifully blocked and executed. Those moments are proof that the ceiling is still incredibly high. It just hasn't been reached yet. Even special teams deserve a quick shout-out. Jake Elliott is back to being automatic from deep. 2 field goals from beyond 50 yards, including 1 from 58, clutch, smooth, no doubt. In a game where points were hard to come by, that mattered. That consistency is going to be huge as the season wears on, especially if the offense continues to sputter in the red zone. And once again, it can't be overstated how difficult it is to walk into Arrowhead and walk out with a win. Patrick Mahomes doesn't lose at home often. He doesn't start season 0-2. This was the first time in his career that he lost 3 straight games. The fact that it came at the hands of Jalen Hurts for the 3rd time in a row says something. There's a quiet rivalry brewing between those two, and right now, Hurts has the upper hand. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens because even when the offense struggles, this team finds ways to win. That's a culture thing. That's a leadership thing. And that's why it's too early to hit the panic button. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what has quickly become the most talked about buzz in the NFL world, whispers are spreading like wildfire over the sudden cancellation of the highly anticipated matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. The league, in a brief and cryptic statement, confirmed that the game would not go ahead as scheduled, but offered few details, leaving fans and insiders scrambling for answers. Speculation is already running rampant on social media, with some suggesting logistical nightmares. others hinting at behind-the-scenes disputes, and a few daring to suggest that this could be linked to a much larger shakeup within the league's scheduling or operational protocols. Sources close to team staff are reportedly tight-lipped, fueling the mystery further. One anonymous insider allegedly told a local sports podcast, "This is unprecedented. Nobody saw it coming, and no one knows exactly why. People are talking, but the truth is still buried somewhere in the offices of the league." Fans were already buzzing for what promised to be a marquee clash, with star quarterbacks ready to face off and a stadium packed with diehard supporters. Now, disappointment is palpable, but so is curiosity. The Chiefs, known for their explosive offense, were expected to challenge the Eagles' dynamic defense in what analysts had predicted could be a pivotal game for playoff positioning. The sudden void in the schedule has left commentators speculating about possible rescheduling, cancellations, or even unusual penalties that might be imposed behind closed doors. Adding fuel to the fire, several social media accounts claiming insider knowledge have hinted at internal conflicts between league officials and team management, though nothing has been verified. Some fans jokingly suggested conspiracy theories ranging from secret player strikes to mysterious stadium issues. But in today's NFL environment, even the most outlandish rumors gain traction quickly. Regardless of the reason, one thing is clear. The NFL landscape feels just a little more unpredictable this week. Chiefs and Eagles supporters alike are left in suspense, watching every snippet of news for a clue about when or if their long-awaited battle will finally hit the field. Until the league speaks again, the whispers will continue, and the rumor mill will churn, keeping the football world on edge. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.